Hey everyone, this is Hashem. Welcome back to another live stream. Hope you're all doing well. Please let me know if you can hear me all right. I've changed a few things. If you've noticed, I've got a new mic arm just to tidy things up a little bit. And I've been using a different camera this time, so the angle's a little bit tighter than usual, but hopefully it's still all right. Anyway, today's stream is just a casual one to kind of catch up with you guys, see what's been happening, talk a little bit about what your plans are with your photography, film photography, especially for the rest of this year. There's been a lot of talk about, rising prices of film and whatever. So I know that might factor into a lot of your plans as to how much you're going to continue to shoot, whether it's film, digital, both, whatever. And yeah, it's just been a little while since I've done one of these. So just going to talk about that. Maybe just share a few of my plans as well for what I hope to achieve with my photography for the rest of this year. Sorry, I had those on for a bit so I could make sure my audio was all right as far as I could hear it. But it is a little bit hot today, so I might even turn on this fan, this little mini desk fan. But let me know if it gets noisy. Hopefully the microphone doesn't pick up too much of it. Yeah. Let's see who's on, who's in the chat. Alex. Hey, man. How you been? Your last video with Chris was really fun, by the way. That was really cool. It was sad to see that it was his last video in Japan as well. I didn't realize that he was leaving to go back to the US. Thanks for joining, Kamiru. Yeah, let's hear some plans, Alex. All right, this year I'm digging even deeper into film, color home dev. Yeah, I think I saw you sharing some of your Lightroom gallery on one of your Instagram stories, and it looked like really cool shots, like all the stuff from California with the beach goers and whatever. That was really cool. Bulk rolling and everything else. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, like just to share my stance with this whole thing, just in case you haven't already heard my take in my previous chats or whatever, as to the rising price of film and if I would shoot no more of it or much less of it. Not really. I mean, I'm pretty picky. I've become a little bit more picky about when and in which situation I shoot film over these last few years anyway. And I've always been someone who tries to get a good deal on some film or trade some or whatever, keep it stocked up in the fridge and only pull it out for when I really want to use it. I don't shoot as willy-nilly as I used to maybe like 4 years ago when I had a staff discount from when I worked at a camera store and I was really still experimenting, trying to find the right cameras for me and all that sort of stuff. But ever since then, I don't really shoot too freely unless it's for a project or I can justify, or when I'm traveling, I'll take 10 rolls plus on a trip, for example, as you might know from my overseas vlogs. But then otherwise, it's just mainly for videos or my own personal rolls when I'm shooting street and here and there. It's just not too frequent. So sure, costs are rising and I'm not going to buy quite as much as I used to, but I never used to buy that much film anyway. So I just try and keep it stocked up and get it when I need it and try and get a good deal on it and maybe just now become a little bit more selective. And it's just inevitable, I think, that prices will continue to rise. And if we want to keep film alive, we need to keep buying it. Although, we might be buying a bit less. They make a little bit more. It all evens out, hopefully. So yeah, I'm not going to stop shooting film anytime soon or ever, hopefully. Yeah, but let me know what your take is on that. Anyone listening, I know not all of you have caught my chat about this topic with Cooper, for example, on my last live stream. So if anyone else is here, keen to hear your opinion. What's your plans for 2023 with your photography? Are you making a complete shift? Are you getting more into it, like Alex mentioned in the comment I've got pinned up on the screen? And I'll talk a little bit more about my plans in terms of projects. I'm really excited about printing more work, and I want to talk a little bit more about that soon. Edgy Grimdark, g'day dude, listening at work. Oh, cool, man. Yeah, I love when people are at work and listening to live streams. I think it's great if you work a job where you can kind of have something on in the background. Like for me, it's maybe a podcast or something similar when I'm working on something that allows me to dedicate that little bit of attention. Dave, hey man, thanks for joining as usual. Is that Australia? Is that where you go to the middle of nowhere and hang a right? Yep, that's right. You turn left at Albuquerque and then right at Pismo Beach. That's a really weird quote, by the way. If anyone actually knows where that's from, I applaud you. And I probably got it wrong anyway. I might add a few moderators to the chat, by the way. I know I don't normally do this, but I'm going to add you, Dave, because I know you're one of the regulars on these live streams, which I really appreciate. Steve Lewis, good morning. Greetings from Vancouver. Hey, greetings, Canada. Chris, really had a great time. Hope to see him in the US. Yeah, dude, it'd be really cool to actually meet you guys in person one day, whether it's individually in Japan, US, both, whatever. Something would be cool one day. All right. For when the next trip? I'm not sure. I've forgotten what that was in relation to, probably. Mostly film, plan to buy digital this year. Okay. So for someone who is shooting purely film, I can definitely understand that you'd want to add a digital camera to your lineup. If you were, paying a certain amount and now it's double, that makes sense. Aaron, still going to shoot film, just a little less. Gives me an excuse to adapt old glass to mirrorless. Yeah, I think that was always a cool way to go. Something I was experimenting with from way back when I had my Canon 6D as my main camera and used to adapt like Pentax Takuma lenses and really enjoyed the look you could get out of that. I think it's great fun. Alex Looney Tunes. Yeah, that's right, man. It was one of those Bugs Bunny references. Cat, gonna do alternative printing, but do so with a theme in mind. Nice. That's really cool. Yeah, printing your work. I think everyone needs to remind themselves to do that. Color got expensive. Shooting thoughtfully, cutting the random sky or other filler shots. Yeah, cutting the filler shots. That's actually a good way to put it because I do that. Like I'll have a roll and then I'll be tempted to just shoot a bunch of things to just finish the roll or just to get that fun shot that I know I won't really end up looking back on or using for anything or showing to anyone. And if you eliminate those, you'd be surprised like how far 36 shots can go or how far 12 shots can go, or whatever it is you're shooting. And it doesn't mean you have to make every single shot amazing. Just kind of put that little bit of thought into it. Like, oh, it's a nice scene. Will I end up liking this as a photo? How will it look as a photo? Will I share it with anyone? Will I show it to anyone? Would it be a potential candidate for a series on anything? Every now and then, sure, you might want to take the shot for fun and for practice, but the better you get, the more you've actually already taken those kinds of photos. Maybe next time you'll know that like, oh yeah, I took this kind of photo last time. This is what was cool about it. This was what wasn't cool about it. And you use that knowledge to kind of refine how many shots you take on a roll of film, like to some degree. Anyway, Brooks, when do you think the new Pentax film camera line will release if Ricoh decides to go through with it? Well, I hope they decide to go through with it. I don't know though when they would do it. I know that like the speculation is that they want to have something in the next couple of years, if I'm remembering right. But, I wouldn't put too much trust in that because these kind of things really tend to face, if we look at it historically, they tend to face a lot of delays and unexpected, factors that come into play with production and whatnot. Staying with film for medium format, but digicams and digital are replacing point and shoots and 35mm somewhat. Yeah, that's a good way to go. Yeah, because like what I was talking about before, those kind of willy-nilly shots that maybe you tend to take more of with a point and shoot, but not as many of with 35mm or even more so medium format, you can replace some of those point and shoot shots with a digital point and shoot or with a, digital camera that you can carry around or whatever. I've done that a little bit more, to be honest, partially for that reason, because I used to be able to get film, let's say for a few bucks a roll, and maybe I had it stockpiled and had a lot of spare rolls. Eventually they ran out, wasn't buying as much. And I would chuck them in my point and shoot and just blast through a roll in a point and shoot film camera, and then only ever really like very few of those shots. And then, yeah, maybe I've shifted a little bit more of that kind of stuff to my little Olympus digital point and shoot, the XZ1, which if you're interested in, I've spoken about in my video on the channel where I compare like digital cameras to the film look, and I talk about digicams and stuff, and this is a great one. It's actually just a capable camera that I bought before this entire digicam craze really took off. Like, it's not great at everything, but it's a cool camera. And I even did a little vlog POV video, which I uploaded to my personal channel. If you want to check that out, I've got my personal channel linked in the description, and you can see some of the output from this and the colors you can get out of it. It's really cool. Maybe I can show you some recent shots on it. I didn't really load anything up onto my computer, unfortunately, but maybe the camera will let me focus on the little camera screen. But I took it to the beach recently, and you can just see the kind of colors as an example that you could get during the daytime. Low light is rubbish. Wouldn't recommend it for that. Most old digicams, that would be the same case. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's kind of looking blown out on the live stream, but you know, watch the video. Check out the video. Check out the other POV video on my other channel if you're really curious about this particular point and shoot. But yeah, that's a good way to go. Reduce some of your film usage doing things like that. Hey, welcome. Thanks for joining. Kodak Vision 3, relatively cheap. Cheaper than Portra. Yep. That is already going up as well. That's something also I've been doing for a while. I've been bulk loading Vision film for quite a while. 250D is my favorite one. I've never shot the CineStill variant. I like the originals with the Remjet layer on, so you don't get the halations. I'm not a big fan of halations. And yeah, I've always recommended bulk loading color film and developing it if you have the know-how and the patience to do that at home and you want to spend the time and money. You'll end up saving money in the long run. Good evening from Brazil, watching Robert Capa documentary. Oh yeah, I still want to see that. Yeah, I think I just saw Nico's new video about that. I think him and I share a very similar stance when it comes to rising prices, in that it's just inevitable and like we're going to keep shooting it. But then, yeah, putting a bit more thought into it. Aaron picked up a half frame camera sort of because of the price increases. Yeah, it's also fun and you will save money. So if you want to like have that kind of camera experience where you can just like snap off shots without thinking too much about it, a half frame is a really good way to go about it because you're getting double the shots and it's costing you half as much. Hopefully we can get something new here soon. Yeah. XZ1's amazing. Yeah, it's really cool for an old camera. Ricoh GR, yep. Oh, you shoot the MA as well. Nice. Definitely not giving up film. Yeah, I think that's the general sentiment because the voices that you hear the loudest are the ones that are kind of negative online. Like, and you see a lot of these kind of hot take videos that you see on YouTube that I get it. I don't do too many of this kind of thing, but it's like film Kodak raising prices by whatever, like I'm quitting film or whatever. Like, yeah, fair enough. If you have that mindset towards it, that's fair. You don't have to put up with these constant price rises if you can't justify it. I get that as well. Hey Johnny. Got a Kodak Digicam, basically free. CCD, nice. 5 megapixels. Yeah, my first digital camera, by the way, was a Kodak EasyShare. I forgot the model name of it, but it was around really early 2000s. Probably 2004 or 5. I bought it from Kmart. And it probably had a few megapixels. I can't remember if it had between like 2 and 6 somewhere, most likely. Had like one of those ultra zooms. It was actually really good. For its day, especially. Greetings. All right, cool. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my plans for my photography this year in terms of things I'm really passionate about, which is printing my work or at least putting it together into some kind of series, having that kind of back and forth with the work where you go back on it, sequence it, see what works well together, or if you shoot a series in an intentional manner. And what I'm working on at the moment is 2 separate maybe zines. They're probably more likely like a zine or somewhere halfway between a book and a zine. I'd like to make something a little bit higher quality with a few more images or just like heavier, so to speak, than my first zine, which was this one, the Sun-Dried Strip. And by the way, I still have copies of this if anyone is interested. I'll show you on the screen. Hopefully I've linked that in the description, but it's available on my website, which is there on the screen, and it's $25 Australian, which for anyone in the US works out pretty well. and I've tried to find the cheapest possible shipping methods I can, which means it's just a little bit slower to reach you. But yeah, that's my my first and only zine. Sorry about that. Which is all color work on the street of like this suburb I used to live in. But yeah, I'm sure a lot of you already know about that, and I appreciate anyone who has bought that. But I want to work on 2 upcoming zines, one of which will actually be all black and white, I'm thinking, because I've amassed a lot of black and white street photography, very different in style from the sun-dried strip, which is a little bit more people heavy, if we can call it that. And this is the work. I've zoomed it out. You only really see really small thumbnails because I don't want to give too much of it away, but just to give you an idea of the kind of stuff, some of which you may have already seen me share in some videos, for example, you know, like from Bangladesh, stuff I've shot in Turkey, Lebanon, Italy. This is all overseas work, and it's a series that the working title for it is, you know, Old Worlds, something, places that give me this feeling of a place stuck in time, which is something I experienced heavily when I was traveling to these sorts of countries, you know, like Lebanon, for example. Shots from there that I've got included here. And this is my working selection so far, but yeah, I'm really happy with what I've got so far, and I'm thinking to make something a little bit heavier than the sun-dried strip with this one. All black and white film. I don't know if I've put any digital shots in here and converted them. Maybe 1 or 2, but I don't know if they'll even make it in. But yeah, some of this work is stuff I've been sitting on for a couple of years maybe. And another one I want to work on is a color series, which is more likely be a lighter kind of zine like this one. And that's kind of just a little bit more laid back, less people heavy, a little bit more focus on color, and this kind of theme of the Mediterranean, because also during my travels, I shot in a slightly different way when I was in some of the same countries, especially Italy, Lebanon, Greece, and South Turkey. And all of those countries kind of surround the Mediterranean Sea. So I've got this series I've been sort of putting together with the intention for print. And so far it's just really coming along. I want to share some, you know, early sneak peeks with you guys here, but just sort of toying with some pairings here that I've kind of put together that you can see hopefully on the screen, just to give you an idea of the kind of stuff that would go into that. But yeah, again, I don't want to give too much of that away. Those are the 2 things I'm working on. I want to print 2 separate booklets, zines, whatever. And I'm not going to be able to put a date on these because I know how difficult it is to get a print product out sometimes. But as soon as I have any more solid information, I'll obviously share that with you guys. And just thought I would, yeah, just for now, share what I'm hoping to achieve. And I'm hoping to get these out this year, if I can, both of them. Because there's also another series that I've been working on. You can actually, it's up on the editing board in the background there, which is more stuff shot here in Australia rather than this heavily overseas work that I'm putting together now. And that one has just been kind of sitting on the back burner because I still need to shoot more for it. Every time I kind of put shots together, I feel like I need a little bit more content. So that's just still on standby. But anyway, yeah, I'd love to hear if anyone else is kind of working on a print series, on a zine or anything like a photo book. I would love to actually make a book, a proper photo book out of something like that black and white work. But I feel like it's a little bit too early for me because I haven't really accumulated enough in this particular series, maybe, unless it's just kind of like a lightweight book, but then the production cost goes up. So what it might end up being is something kind of small, like maybe like, you know, not necessarily a hardcover, maybe a soft cover variant of something like this size of book, because I'd love it to occupy a larger kind of real estate on the page than that little A5 one. Or it could end up being like one of these, I'll use Damon's zine as an example, like an A4 zine with a perfect binding and kind of a solid feel to it, where it's more like a, you know, like an actual full-size magazine with heavy pages. This has like a heavier paper stock, which I quite like. Anyway, yeah, let me know. What are you guys working on? Hey, Stephen. I'm sweating already. It's really hot here. I don't have air conditioning in this room. Local lab demand has never been higher. Yeah, exactly. I shared this during my chat with Cooper in that everyone's saying that film is getting too expensive and no one's shooting it anymore. But when I asked the labs, this is very recently, it's like, are you getting more or less film over these last couple of months? And they're like, we're getting more. We can't handle how much film we're getting. So, yeah, demand is there. And the way you're putting it is that people getting into film aren't as affected by the increases as the internet makes it out to be. 100% correct. And a lot of the people getting into film are just maybe from that teenage age range to the 20s, like students, which is what I see a lot of at the labs that I go to and ask about, where they're not even really going on these YouTube videos and complaining. They just get into it and they go, oh, how much does it cost for film? Oh, okay, cool. Like, I really want to do it. And they just pay it. They don't really like question it too much. Not CLE. Yeah, I think it's a really cool camera. If you want an M mount rangefinder and you don't want to spend for a Leica body, that's exactly the way to go. Either go with a Minolta CLE or similar, maybe a Voigtlander Bessa or something like that. Really great way to go. Avery got the zine. Yes, that's right. I remember. Yeah, thank you. I do 6x9 zines. Yeah, that's a cool size. Maybe I would look into that as well because it's bigger than A5. Actually, no, that is the same, isn't it? This is about 6x9. I don't think in inches perfectly sometimes. But yeah, I mean, if you give your zines away, that's great too. The only reason I'm probably able to sell them is because of this platform I've built here on YouTube. I realize, of course, that if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't sell near as much. And it's great to actually make something to give away, whether it's your friends or family. That's really cool too, especially if it involves them in that series. You're looking forward to the next one. Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to see what you do with all this work you've been accumulating. I know you've been sitting on some stuff for a while, the black and white and the color. Thank you, Dave. You working on 4? Right, okay. Japan road trip. Yeah, you did that with Samuel. New York, which is the street stuff, Fukuoka, and the California stuff. Amazing. Yeah. And I feel like it's really important not to rush this kind of stuff, because I always feel this itch to get it out, to be like, I want to share this. I want to like finish it, which is great. You don't want to sit on it forever, but definitely don't rush it either. Enjoy the process. Don't feel like you have to set a deadline unless you really need to for some reason, like, you know, some real good reason to put a deadline out there, or you've already told people, or it's part of your job somehow, or you really need to make, you know, your income through it somehow. Started process my own color, cheaper than, and getting better results. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, one thing I find with color is I have a higher tendency to mess it up or get weird results. It's not as consistent for me as black and white, and I don't know if it's because I keep swapping between different chemistries and I don't pay enough attention to temperature sometimes. I mean, I do pay, you know, like what I thought was a minimum level of attention, where I'm getting things between, you know, plus minus 1 degree, but then I get weird results lately. I think it's because I switched chemicals. I don't know. You make a book for every trip, personal collection. Yeah, that's really great. It's like just having albums, basically. Yeah, that's the way you put it. Yeah, cool. 100%. All right. Caught up on the chat. Always feels good. Anyway, what else was I going to talk about today? I was just going to, catch up with you guys and maybe just share what I've been up to, which was those 2 series I'm working on. In terms of the channel, I have released a few videos lately. I kind of upped the ante a little bit after getting back from holiday, because I hadn't put anything out for about a month and a half. And what I had put out during the holiday was pre-produced and scheduled. You know, like the I can't even remember what that was now. But when I came back, I put out the Leica MA review was my first video, I think, when I got back. And then there was the Pofo Luminar film review, which was a really fun film to try, actually. That was cool if you haven't seen that and you want to try something new. It's a little bit cheaper than getting Portra and all that. And you can check out the video that I've got up on the screen right about now. So Luminar 100. That was the second video I did after getting back 3 weeks ago. Then I did the Bangladesh vlog. If you haven't seen that, that was heaps of fun to edit. Vlogs don't really get heaps of views or any monetization as far as, you know, my experience, but there's something I really enjoy because I had such a good time on these trips, for example, where I enjoy sharing it, and I really was happy with the shots. I didn't share everything in that video because I wanted to save some for this series I'm working on, but I shared like most of the shots I was happy with, or at least half of them, for that segment that I showed. There's actually more from that trip that I haven't actually edited yet. And then there was my video on metering without a light meter, because I've gotten so many questions about this. If anyone is in that boat where you're getting into shooting without a light meter, because every time I post something with the Leica MA where I'm shooting on the street, you know, especially my street process videos, people always ask, like, can you make a video about how you do it? And I put out a video, but I didn't really show you how to actually use the Sunny 16 rule, because we know that's the step you need to take, generally speaking, is learn that Sunny 16 rule. So I just shared 5 or 6 tips that I think really help with the mindset and the behavioral tips that I think work really well when you're shooting without a meter. And one of those is to obviously just learn the Sunny 16 rule, but I feel like there's so many videos out there. And yet in the comments, because I asked if anyone wants a more in-depth breakdown about how to use the Sunny 16 rule, so many people replied saying, yes, please do a more in-depth video about how to use Sunny 16. So that's now on my list of future videos. And yeah, these are the things I've produced over the last month or so after getting back. And what am I working on now? I'm still not sure. I've got a few things. I'm not sure of the order of release, but as you can see, it's been 10 days since my last video. And one of the reasons why I thought I would do this live stream, because I haven't, you know, I don't have anything to release just yet. And yeah, hopefully in the next few days, I might have something ready to schedule. What else? Also, I haven't like officially announced this or anything, and it's still something I've been toying with for a while, but I did sign up for a Spreadshop merch store thingy, which I've just integrated into the channel. And I haven't officially announced it yet because I still want to order a few of these items myself. And once I receive those and check out the quality, for example, there's a lot more than this if you go to one of the links. Then I'll like, you know, have a little bit more faith in the quality. But everything I know about Spreadshop is the stuff that they source to print, whether it's mugs, t-shirts, hats, is pretty good. And if this goes well, then I would like, you know, mention it in some proper videos. And then also add some more designs, maybe just some funny film related things that would work well on merch. And yeah, like I was always in two minds about merch because, you know, I don't want to just come across like I'm just selling out. But when I looked into it, you don't really get much of a cut with these types of services. And because you don't do any of the work, this ships directly from the supplier. I just thought it was an easy thing, just as an option for anyone who is interested or would be interested, myself included, because I actually wanted to get a coffee mug made with the Pushing Film logo on it, because I'm always drinking coffee in the videos. There's a little bit left in this cup. Yeah, and I thought, look, it's only a cut of between $5 and $10 max on any given item. And it's a way to make a little bit of extra money through the channel, which is something I'm trying to put more focus in. But yeah, obviously, this is only for anyone who actually is interested in this kind of stuff, because then you get something back by supporting the channel as well. But yeah, I want to order some of the items and receive them. This only just started working this morning, and that's one thing that I was going to mention. What else? Books, actually. I don't know what you guys think about this. Let me know. Maybe with these live streams, whether it's about photo books or not, I can start off the stream with what photo book I would recommend or I'm into at the moment. What do you guys think about that idea? Because I was going to do that for this video. And one video book I was going to recommend to you guys, if you haven't already checked it out, is this one. It's called New York in Color by Ernst Haas, with his work from 1952 to 1962. Beautiful photo book, really great stuff. Ernst Haas was one of those early pioneers of shooting color, and it was all Kodachrome as far as I know, really low speed stuff. And it has that sort of painterly look. If you're not familiar with his work, this is a book I highly recommend. And I think if you like photographers like Saul Leiter, or let's say Harry Gruyaert, you'd probably like Ernst Haas. And even if you're not familiar with those two other photographers, if you're into photography and especially street, you will enjoy this book. I don't have a link for it, but I'm sure you can look it up. I don't know if I've covered this book in a previous book sharing live stream, but I did talk about it on a podcast that I guest spoke on with Daniel Sig. So maybe I will add that to the description afterwards. But if you look up Daniel Sig, his podcast is up on the internet. You can find that conversation. We spoke a lot about Ernst Haas in this particular book. Really love this one. So I thought I'd just share that with anyone who's interested. Anyway, back to the comments. Do you develop and scan your own film? With black and white, I do. And color, sometimes. For example, if it's cinema film with the Remjet, I develop that myself. And all my own black and white, I do that. CineStill CS41 kit's really good. Same results each time I use a sous vide. Seth, is that the powder CineStill one? Because that's the one I've got at the moment. And that's the one that's given me some wacky results, which I'm not saying is because of the chemicals. I think maybe I've done something weird both times I've used the chemicals to develop each batch of film. And maybe it's because I've changed my agitation method to using a little twiddly stick instead of inverting. I have a feeling it could be that. Or maybe I did something weird mixing the chemicals. Maybe it's because it's the powder one. Maybe it's my particular batch. Maybe it's my temperature control. I use a sous vide as well. And both times I've gotten kind of weird, like colors, like color shifts on the edges of the film, but in a different shift in the middle. And it's kind of ruined some of the shots on some rolls. And that was the CineStill powder kit. And it only happened since then. And another factor it could be was the chemicals might have been in the heat for a while, because the summers here get really hot. And I left it unused for a while, but tried to tightly cap the developer and put it in the fridge while I was overseas. And it's still working well in terms of the exposure and the density, but I'm getting weird color shifts, so I need to look into that. But yeah, Seth, let me know which one you're using, because I know that CineStill has two different CS41 kits. One is powder, one is like, I don't know, it's like liquid maybe, or a different multi-stage powder. But the one I have is pretty much a copy of the Unicolor kit. I'm pretty sure they even just recycled the Unicolor kit. No worries, Johnny. Yeah, definitely try printing a zine. Tips for finding a photographer as a mentor. I feel like I've hit a bit of a wall teaching myself, want to learn things about starting a business and making some money. Well, I'm not sure because I've never done this, but I know it's a really valuable thing, mentorship, with any skill that you want to get good at. There's actually a really great book that I listened to as an audiobook called Mastery by Robert Greene. And there's a whole section, an amazing chapter about, the mentor protege kind of relationship and how long it takes you, and then when to like leave the mentor and what you're expected to kind of learn. And it's really in depth, actually. I never really thought much about it, but a lot of artistic skills, and anyone who's done really well in some kind of creative pursuit often has had a mentor throughout their life, whether it's as early as like, Leonardo da Vinci or this or that. But yeah, great book if you're interested. I've not had any personal experience myself though, finding a mentor for a creative pursuit like photography. I have thought about it. What I would do is probably just find someone that you really admire and then just approach them. Maybe just see if you can set up, in this day and age, it's really easy as well. You don't even have to be in the same city. You could set up regular Zoom calls and just do kind of like a casual mentorship where you do, what's the word for it? Like, I don't know, you have those Zoom chats. Yeah, because I think it would have to be someone that you're familiar with and you admire their work and you want to kind of take your work in a similar direction, or, you know, ideally it wouldn't be exactly the same, but just someone whose work you admire. Yeah, and whether they're or not they're actually offering it as a thing, you can always just ask, because if it's someone really experienced, I'm sure they'd be open to that possibility. And starting a business, making some money. Yeah, yeah. So find someone who's doing that successfully. On an old N4, guesses of my light meter process works fine. I shoot people with a camera too tacky. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Like, some people would find it funny, some would misread it and go, oh, what? And then they'll think it's lame, maybe, because it's kind of an inside thing. Maybe. I think I've seen something like that, like I shoot people, and you've got like I shoot raw and I shoot this, and who was it? Frono's photo with that I shoot raw photo t-shirt. Using slow film to add motion. Yeah, definitely. If you like that stuff, check out the book I recommended. All right, so you use the powder one. Yeah, I think I'm always a little bit slack with my color chemistry because I don't use it within a month. I try and like make it last. But even with the first batch I developed straight after mixing it, it had those weird effects, which makes me think something more like agitation that you mentioned, because I did change my agitation behavior. I don't do continuous agitation. I use the recommendation on the rotary like inversion tank method, where it tells you to do it for 10 seconds every, no, it's like 4 inversions every 30 seconds or minute or something like that. But I changed from using inversion to like the little twist stick that you get on those Patterson tanks. And I have a feeling it could be that, because it's not shaking the chemistry around as much and something's settling at the bottom, because the color shifts are kind of at the edges of the film. So I don't know. Purified water, yeah, I don't use that, but in the past I've never used purified water for my developer, color or black and white, and I've always had fine results. It's only after this batch. Down for more photo book sharing. Yeah, so I've got 2 books on order actually that I'm quite excited about. There's some stuff on my shelf that I haven't shared yet, so I might actually just share something from the shelf. But just to on that topic, if anyone's into photo books, these are the 2 books I'm looking forward to receiving that I ordered recently. One of them is Trent Park, his book Monument, which, if you know Trent Park's work, his book's pretty hard to find once they sell out. So this is the first time I've pre-ordered one of his books, and my introduction to street photography in a way, and my love for street photography was largely through Trent Park's book Dream Life. And this new book Monument actually has a lot of the work from that same series, Dream Life, which is black and white street photography, largely in Sydney and so on. And that's now pre-order on setantabooks.com. And I pre-ordered it when they announced it like a month ago. This is the most I've ever paid for a book as well. It's £77. It's a lot of money. But I'm such a big fan of Trent Park's work, and has some of the stuff from Minister Midnight as well, which is another book that I've had on my list for a long time. Could never find a copy unless it's really unreasonably priced, like higher than this, obviously. And I jumped on this one. So I don't know when it's going to ship. It says here, April. So yeah, it's quite a while actually. But yeah, I didn't even ask questions. I just saw it and I was like, all right, done. And as you guys might know, also, I've pre-ordered Kyle McDougall's book, which is color work he shot on film in the American Midwest, and it's on Subjectively Objective. Subjectively Objective. And it's called An American Mile. So that one I pre-ordered after having my chat with Kyle, which you can check out on the channel. If you go back to the channel, it's not too far back, and it's one of my In Conversation series where I had a chat with him. Here it is from 5 months ago. And we talked about his work on this book and his process, which was really insightful. Great guy. I love his photography, so I'm keenly looking forward to that book, which was initially meant to ship a little bit earlier, but they faced some delays, and they're really great because I've been giving updates by email. But obviously, a lot of you guys probably know Kyle McDougall through his YouTube channel, and this work looks great. I'm a big fan, so once I get that, I'll be sure to share that on the channel as well in one of these live streams. All right. It's hard to find new works. Yeah, I find that sometimes. And that's one of the reasons why I do these book sharing streams, because I know anyone who's into books or even just curious about them needs something like that little bit of preview through a video to kind of, give you enough of a preview, some information to want to buy that book or discover that photographer or just check out their Instagram even or something like that. Stephen, do you print digitally with one of those online services like Blurb or Mixam or something like that? I used Mixam for my last one, which I was really happy with. I will probably use them again for my my next color zine, which is the one I shared with you, the Mediterranean Downtime one, which is the working title, by the way. But then I'm not sure about the black and white one. With that, because I want to go with something a little bit heftier, I'll see if they offer it and what kind of quality they offer. But I might actually walk into some, brick and mortar printing places just to kind of learn a bit, ask questions, find out the difference in pricing, what the difference in quality might be. It won't likely be offset printing. With offset printing, you want to have 500 to 1,000 copies ideally, maybe one day. But for that black and white series, I might actually dig around a little bit and find alternatives. Otherwise, I'll probably just go with Mixam as well. All right. Yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to share with you guys. And yeah, it was good to kind of catch up and find out people's plans for 2023. How weird, man. 2023. I know I might have written some notes. I've got my little Google Doc here with the notes, which are very few. Yeah, books I'm sharing, all that sort of stuff. But if anyone has any other questions or discussion topics, I think I'll end this stream soon. It was just a good chance to get a quick catch up with you guys, share what's been happening, share some plans. What have I been shooting lately? I shot my Nikon FE with some black and white Kentmere and some Ilford Ortho 80, which I shot for the first time at a few different things, like mainly street. Most of it was from this rally, this Invasion Day rally on the 26th of January, as well as some other stuff. But Ortho 80 I liked. It's very high contrast. I don't know if I would shoot it much because it's a bit temperamental depending on whether it's a high contrast scene or a low contrast scene. Sometimes it looks amazing, sometimes it's a little bit too much. And Kentmere 400 I always love, and I have shared some of those shots on my Instagram if anyone's interested. Some of the stuff I've been shooting on the street since I've been back in Melbourne, and a lot of it's protests and such, which is always fun to shoot if you're a street photographer. And I've also been shooting my Leica MA as usual, and currently I also have a roll in my Pentax 645N, which is my favorite medium format camera, as you might know, and I have some Acros in there right now. I even took it out onto the street and shot some street with that camera, which is bizarre, but it works. Because now I have a 45mm lens, which is the equivalent of 28. All right, let's catch up on some of these chats before we tie things up. Flickfilm C41 kit. Yeah, it's good that there's been more and more kits coming out, and even like ECN2 kits are becoming accessible. So it's 10 sec every minute. Yeah, that's usually a standard agitation. I guess I kind of just covered that zine thing. The average cost wise per unit, this really depends on how many you print. So obviously if you're printing with the hope of selling 50 copies or 100 copies, your unit price is going to be much lower. If you're only making it for your friends and you're printing 10 copies, your unit price is probably going to be, for example, like 15 Australian, 20 Australian dollars, which US might be $10, and maybe more depending on the quality of the paper. But if you were to print, like let's say you were someone who could guarantee or hope to get 300 sales, or want to print a lot of copies, your unit price might drop down to like $5 to $10. So it really depends on that. And with my zine, the Sun-Dried Strip, I printed more than I thought I would initially sell because I just wanted to have a stockpile on hand. I just thought, look, if I'm going to kind of print this, I might as well print more, get a slightly lower unit cost. I haven't sold them all. I'm not going to, potentially sell every single copy, but it's nice to have them there to leave on my online store to always be able to promote until maybe one day it'll sell out. I still have plenty of copies, but because it was, like if I was to print 50, which I easily sold 50 by now, it wouldn't have cost much difference once you figure out the unit price to have that extra stock on hand if you think you can sell it, for example. So it's kind of like a gamble. Useful for the CS41 kit. Textile hardcover. Yeah, see that? It adds a lot of cost if you do anything hardcover. How many pages? Last 150 pages cost over $200. Yeah, 40% of sales. Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to make a proper hardcover book with like a, linen cover. Like a great example of that is, let's grab this one. My favorite photographer and one of my favorite photo books, Valparaiso by Sergio Lorraine. Beautiful little book. Black and white. Sorry about like that screen tearing, by the way. I don't know if you guys can see it. I'm using an HDMI connection instead of USB, which gives you a crisper image on the webcam, which I'm using my Canon as a webcam. But you get this like line every now and then, I've noticed. So maybe I'll switch back to USB. Hey, man. More photo book share, vote positive. Yeah, definitely. I love doing the book sharing streams. I mean, it's not like they get many views, but that's not why I do them. I just like sharing books. 150 pages. That's a lot. Yeah. I mean, this black and white series I'm thinking of printing, even if I was to do one image per spread, it would not be 150 pages. Alex, Carl's photos are nice. I want to do more of that style here in Japan. That would be cool. I would love to join, dude. We want to go to Japan. Sarah and I keep itching to want to go to Japan, and we're planning to do a trip this year. But we've been to Japan so many times that after the lockdowns and the years of all that, we started to prioritize other places that we've been wanting to go, including the last trip we did, the last 2 trips, including the Europe, Middle East, and we went to Bangladesh recently. And now we want to go to South America. We're thinking, but we keep saying to ourselves, what if we just go to Japan instead again and do a different part of Japan, like the north, go to Hokkaido. I've never been there. I really want to go to Hokkaido during winter. But because of timing to do with, Sarah's work and other things, and the fact that we've been to Japan, like I've been 4 or 5 times and she's been 3 or 4 times, we might do Canada, South America, maybe tack on New York, because we have some family friends in Canada and we've always wanted to go there as well. And we've always wanted to go to South America, like what countries? We haven't even really decided which countries, but Mexico, Chile, like, a few different places. But yeah, I'm definitely going to come back to Japan sometime soon. And if you're there, we'll definitely be meeting up. Use Mixam as well. Yeah, nice. Yeah, they're really good. I found their service was really good as well. That's a good point. How did the last catch up with the Discord guys go? That was fun. I mean, it wasn't many people, and that was because I think it was like 37 degrees or something really hot in the first part of the day. It was a really hot day, and then we had planned for this kind of like not too far in advance. And then a lot of people were already saying like, oh, it's going to be 30 whatever degrees, count me out. And then when it came down to it, there was this cool shift in the afternoon. and you know, like some storm clouds were coming in, and it cooled down to like 14 degrees. This is Celsius, by the way, guys. It's not as cold as you think. And yeah, it was a nice nice weather. You know, it was nice weather for the meetup, but then like I think there was 4 guys. It was cool because I met some new people from the Discord server, and there was a couple of regulars, and we walked around and shot. It wasn't too great in terms of the streets for photography, but it's always cool to just shoot the shit and chat. And one of my good friends, Josh, came along, and him and I and then one of the other guys who I'd met that day just stuck around. We had dinner. So yeah, anyone who's in Melbourne who's interested in meetups, go join the Discord server. I've got a link in the description. There's a meetups channel. That's where we, you know, casually organize meetups, which are always fun. I don't blame you. Oh, trying to travel to Cuba. Yeah, I mean, you've obviously been to Cuba. Were you born overseas or were you like born in the US? I've never asked you that. We should do another chat, by the way, Alex. It's been a while, man. I remember how we had this online chat. I think it was like 2020. Let's do another one if you're up for it. You can do it live if you want. Stephen, Toronto and I are waiting for you. Yeah, I think we will be going to Toronto, hopefully. So that'll be cool to meet up as well, Stephen. We've been chatting and interacting online for a long time, so it'd be cool to meet up if and when Sarah and I come to Canada. Come to Kingston. Yeah, we really want to explore Canada. We want to do Banff and, you know, all the usual things, like go over to the Vancouver side maybe, depending how much time we end up getting there, because both of us love nature and hiking and scenery, and yeah, we definitely want to explore a bit of Canada. Obviously, we won't get much time to do a lot of it because I think we're going to have to divide our time across different countries, and we will have to spend time with friends or family or whatever, but yeah, we'll do as much as we can. How to get my first photography jobs and break into the industry. So when I started doing photography as work, I did just free stuff for friends. I was experimenting with the camera. I had just bought this Canon 450D or something really early on in the 2000s. When was it? Probably, no, it wasn't that early. 2000 and whatever. And then I just did stuff for friends, like who would they be holding parties, or I'm like, do you want me to shoot? I'll do it for free or whatever. Or then charge very little. And then I used this service we have here called Gumtree, which you probably have in the UK and other countries as well. It's like Craigslist, to just search for jobs. And I think I advertise myself offering, you know, cheap photography for like events or anything you want. Put a few sample shots, and then I don't know if I approached them or they approached me, but I found someone who needed a photographer for a golf tournament for a whole day's work, and it was like, you know, 200 or 300 Australian dollars, which to me at the time, that's great. That's good money. That's more than like I would be making in a retail job working that at the time, and I get to do something I enjoy. In today's standards, oh yeah, I mean, people probably charge that much per hour, maybe, or every 2 hours, and I worked all day, but I got my break doing stuff like that, and then working up, building that portfolio, and then kind of iterating upon that, and then finally spending money on upgrading my gear. I mean, that golf tournament, I shot it with a 400 or 450D and a macro lens, a 100mm macro lens, because that's what I had. That's what I bought with my, you know, one of the first lenses I bought for my camera after a 50mm, because I was really into macro photography. So I just made it work. Make it work. Don't focus too much on gear. Do stuff low cost or free for friends if you're really just trying to get into it, and then keep building your portfolio, and then putting yourself out there for different work and getting paid more. Vancouver, yeah, hopefully. Sarah job out 18. She's not doing 18-hour days. She only works part-time. But we both do different things. Like we juggle a few different things. Like I do this as well as my photography work, and then videography stuff sometimes. Yeah, Alex, let's start a chat about that. Chat about a chat. 1 month. Hey, how are you, Ali? Pulling up YouTube, seeing live in progress. Yeah, I love doing these live streams. I just don't know why I don't do it more often. I kind of know why, because my schedule is too erratic. But what I feel like I should do is maybe just schedule a day and a time every week, or every whatever, you know, days, to actually schedule them ahead and then just commit to it. The problem is I know that I hate canceling because I know sometimes things come up, schedules change, especially when you work freelance, and then I would have to cancel stuff. And if you've noticed with these live streams, I've very rarely like canceled or changed them by more than like 15 minutes to half an hour. But maybe it's not such a big deal. Maybe it's better that I actually set the time ahead, and then with the higher chance of like changing or canceling, but then it just makes it more regular. Let me know what you guys think, because I really enjoy doing these live streams. And if you have ideas for what I could do on the streams as well, please let me know, because I know a lot of it is just casually chatting like this, which feels really strange, by the way, even till today. But I still enjoy it. I've grown to enjoy it. And if you have ideas for how I can improve these live streams, any feedback, please let me know. I know because it's a film photography channel, the scope is a little bit limited, but I still feel like there's cool things that can be done with them. So Dave, on the show more page, you might want to put a list of your favorite photo books. Okay. Which show more page? You mean like the thing built into YouTube? Or if I link it from my website or something? Let me know what you mean there, because I like that idea. Or maybe you mean in the video description. Anthony, South Asia is really nice. I'm going to southern India in a few months. I'll share some photos on the Discord. Nice, man. Yeah, definitely. I've never been to India, but I really want to go someday. And I also want to check out north of India, because you've got the mountains and the different climate, different cultures, and very different apparently between the north and south. Make it work is such a great ethos. Yeah, for sure. Dave, you like the schedule idea? Yeah, cool. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll make it Sundays. Sunday mornings. And the other thing is that because of the time differences around the world, it's tricky to kind of align a time that works well for different segments, which is why I've had this behavior where I kind of rotate between either these, like, for me, it's late morning or midday, whereas for you guys overseas, it's whatever time. And then I've sometimes done streams in the evening where it opens up an opportunity for people in, let's say, Europe, who would normally be asleep. But I mean, yeah, you never win them all. And maybe if I schedule on a rotating basis, that could be cool. Yeah, let me know what you think, because yeah, I could start trying to do that. And even with my uploads for the channel for actual videos, I don't really commit to an upload schedule, because I know myself in that it's quite hard for me to commit to putting out a video on every Monday or every second Monday or every whatever few days or something like that. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap this one up shortly. I'm just checking out Dave's response. YouTube description of the live stream is a show more link in the bottom. Oh, okay. I didn't even really think about, I mean, did I know about that? Maybe I just did, but I never put thought into it. Put your book choices in text there, maybe. I love what you have done in the past. So I think maybe the show more, is that just the way to expand the description? Or is there at the bottom of that another expansion beyond the expansion? Yeah, I'll look into it. Thanks, Dave, though. I like that suggestion. I really appreciate suggestions like that. That's what I want more of, hopefully, for people. Don't be afraid to give me suggestions on how I can improve the channel or videos or live streams or whatever. Whether or not I'm able to take all of it on board, there's no harm just making that suggestion. Yeah, that'd be cool. Like book choices, maybe favorite films and things like that. Hey, Coops, man, what's up? Start up your podcast again. See, the thing is, I never started the podcast up officially. All the podcast was that I thought I'll recycle my video interviews, like the one I did with Kyle, where they suit an audio-only format, and chuck them up on a podcast that I created that so far only has that chat. But that made me think, wouldn't it be cool to have a regular segment and then upload them as audio only? And I'm still planning on doing that. If I ever have like a chat that doesn't rely too much on visual references, like in this stream, for example, I refer to things I have on the screen. And I know with podcasts, you can also have the video component these days. which is cool. I've actually experimented with that once before with just a test chat I had with a friend, and I want to do it. I actually think it would be cool, and I just don't have like an outline for it, or I don't know, like a list of people or anything like that. And also there's so many other podcasts that, I mean, I enjoy listening to those other ones. And then you've got like Analog Talk and like heaps of film focused podcasts out there. Not to say that that means I can't do one, but yeah, man, like you and I talked about that. Let's do one. Let's have a chat again. Maybe if it's not live, there'd be, the better audio quality. We can record it and chuck it up online, and then I'll be happy to keep doing them. Yeah, because last time we picked a topic, which was like the rising costs. We can just pick anything, just talk shit, record it, and then I can just upload it to that audio only segment. And then also, if I can upload it to the channel, or you can upload it to your channel, or both, or something like that. I think there's a small segment of our crossover audience that enjoys these chats in a way that is convenient, because they can listen to it while at work, which I had someone comment on this stream that they're doing, or while they're exercising or doing chores around the house, because I know that's what I enjoy doing. I like having something on in the background while I'm doing other shit. So yeah. And it's cool to see that you've been putting out more videos, dude. I know that when we had our chat, we were talking about the film price thing. And then I didn't realize that 2 days later you put out that video. It didn't pop up on my, like, maybe I had my notifications off or some other stuff was going on. But then I was catching up on your channel and I saw that you'd released like 4 videos with the one with the Nikon and like the shooting film prices and whatever other stuff. And then I caught up on all of those in one shot, except for the one about buying a DSLR. I haven't watched that yet. And I saw you had another one. I think it disappeared with the memories. I think I watched a bit of that. Then I was walking to the takeaway shop to pick up some food. And then I paused it and I went to catch up on it the next morning and it was gone. I don't know if I'm dreaming, but hey man, how's it been? I checked out some of your recent videos as well, Raymond, so it's good stuff. Popping in late, was watching Bray's community gallery stream. Yeah, see, I haven't caught up on his videos either. One of the things with doing YouTube is that you spend so much time making the videos that it's hard to keep up with. Because if you look at my subscriptions list, which is public, I just subscribe to so much stuff. And I enjoy watching YouTube, but then when you have hundreds of channels that you subscribe to, it's impossible to like keep up with all of them. But yeah, I love Bray Hunziker's channel. It's good stuff. And I know about his community gallery thing. It's a really cool effort. I haven't been on one of his live streams though. I should check one out. Delta Dave would come up with on Travel Zine. Yeah, I mean, in terms of shared work between hers and mine, we would actually love to put an exhibition together. That'd be really cool. We print our favorite prints from like a certain country or trip or whatever. I think that would be cool, and a zine would work just as well, I'm sure. We've spoken about doing stuff like that. You're down, awesome. That's how you take in your podcast too while you're doing other stuff? Yeah, for sure. Coop's on the CCD train. Yeah, see, I asked him if he knew about your channel when we had our chat, and he wasn't familiar, but maybe he'll check it out soon. Oh, you have checked it out, obviously, so no, she's to blame. Yep. Like your channel's always the one I recommend when anyone asks about CCD and sensors and old digital cameras and film cameras and whatever. 100%. You need some minions to help you out. Yeah, I would like someone to do all the editing and the social media and all the stuff that's just time consuming. That would be really cool. Maybe one day. I have been thinking about maybe putting more effort into the channel in terms of making it like one of the main sources of income for me. And if you've noticed, I've maybe started to take on sponsors recently, something I never really used to do. And that is the main way to do it. Because unfortunately, even if you grow to like whatever I have, 40,000 subscribers or whatever, it doesn't really mean much in terms of AdSense. I mean, sure, it's not nothing. It is actually decent in terms of like, it gives you a bit of money to cover your costs and time spent making videos and all the equipment. But it's nothing compared to like what you can get out of doing sponsorships, brand deals, something I've never really been against, but I've just never put the effort until recently to actually find sponsors that I like, because I've had offers in the past from a lot of products and services that I don't actually like know much about or use, like whether it's Skillshare or Squarespace. I'm sure they're good, but I use a different website server. I use Pixpa, and I've never really used Skillshare yet. As much as I would love to maybe one day make a course for them, I couldn't say yes with with good faith and then share that thing having not really at least used it or know much about it, which is why I thought it would be cool to reach out to brands myself, because I reached out to Earth, for example, because I use their stuff and I like their brand and they're Aussie based. And I reached out to Pixpa because they are the service that I use, and smaller partnerships with like Perfo Camera, for example. I like doing stuff like that. So I'm trying to focus more on doing that, seeing where it can go this year, and then maybe cutting down on how much I do other work like weddings or whatever, which to be honest, I'm not doing as much as I used to anyway after the pandemic. So yeah, anyway, I think I'll end the stream here. This was good. Thanks everyone for joining. Yeah, let me know what you think about some of the changes. If you watch this later, if you just, happen to make it this far, the camera with the HDMI, like the tearing, I'm not sure if you were really seeing that. I haven't been watching my self monitor much. Is this obtrusive? I know it shows a little bit more, but it's just way more convenient because I can move it around and it doesn't like squeak and fall and sink as much. And what else did I change? I think that was it. Maybe I mentioned something else and forgot. But yeah, thank you for joining. Thank you for coming onto this live stream, for being here until the end. If you watched all the way through, like my good friend Dave Nelson, take on sponsors, tell them you need to check their products out first. Yeah, exactly. That's what I tend to do, is I want to have used or know their stuff. Cheers, Coop. Thanks, man. Yeah, let's chat soon. Let's do that podcast episode. Let's do the pre-recorded one. Change universal, you had to embrace it. It's not distracting. Cool. Thanks, Ali. Yeah, I need to catch up on some of your videos too. Thanks for joining. I'll see you on the next one. I hope you all have a good day or night.